What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Fourth Down Show. This is the inaugural Fourth Down Weekly Show edition. We're going to bring you weekly episodes every week leading up to the week that is, touching base on all news, notes, and transactions that's going on in the NFL. Let's do it. All right, guys, welcome back. And just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who was keeping up with the index shows. So much love. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly appreciate the little interaction I had. I met some fans along the way. I know I couldn't touch on every single team. I do apologize. Came down with a crazy case of pink eye. Couldn't look into the camera for a while. Light was crazy, giving me headaches. But we're all good now. Gonna lay off the context for a little while. I know a little TMI, but we're going to go with this goofy look for a while. And yeah, you definitely in the comments let me know what I look like, because it ain't looking very good. But listen, here we are. We're going to touch on a lot of stuff leading up to the inaugural kickoff of the 2020 season. Let's go. Tonight we have Chiefs, Texans to kick off the season. I couldn't be more hyped. I couldn't be more excited. And yeah, we got Pat Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. What more could you ask for a kickoff game on a Thursday night? You know, we haven't had football since the Super Bowl, and it's been missed. It's really been missed. I know other sports have been doing their very best to try to give us as much, watchable content as possible. And shout out to the NBA. You know, it's been phenomenal. I've loved the bubble. I think the bubble has been extremely watchable. I really can't say much for the MLB, but I hear hockey's killing it. The UFC's been killing it, and listen, America, we're going to get on our road to recovery very soon, and sports is going to help us get there. So if we can hit a home run with the NFL, 2021 looks very promising. So we're going to start off with our first down. We're going to touch on all the injury notes leading up to today, and let's go. We're going to start off with Danielle Hunter, who's hitting IR literally days before the kickoff to the NFL season. It's going to be tough, man. I'm a huge fan of Danielle Hunter, and they just recently made a move for Yannick Ngakoue. I believe they had that move lined up knowing that they may be without their star defensive end, Danielle Hunter. Now, under the new COVID-19 pandemic, IR rule, guys can actually go on IR for a few weeks now instead of the 6 weeks minimum, I believe, and then, you could return or, straight out the whole season. That was pretty much what we were dealing with prior to this year. So it looks like Danielle Hunter will at minimum miss the first 3 weeks of this season. It's a good thing they went and got out Yannick Ngakoue, but it's still going to be missed because Danielle Hunter, to me, is a top 5, pass rushing, defender in the league. And without him, we'll see how the Vikings kind of cope. It's going to be pretty difficult, but I think, Coach Zimmer is going to do pretty well in the first 3 weeks to just, right the ship. And listen, Yannick Ngakoue is no slouch. So we can't wait till week 4 so we see them together. All right, moving on to our next injury, which is a big one, and it hurt real bad. It kind of like got guys praying out there, and that's Von Miller. Initial reports had Von Miller missing the season entirely with a torn tendon in his ankle, is the reports that we're getting out of camp. Quote, there's a chance Miller's season might be over. It's too early to say for sure, but he's definitely out for a while. That's from Coach Fangio. And, we don't know what's going to happen with Von Miller. He's definitely going to hit IR. We don't know the length, but we know he's getting a second opinion right now. That's a huge loss for Denver. If anything, that's more monumental for the Broncos than what Danielle Hunter's bringing to the table in Minnesota, because, you got a young quarterback in Denver with Drew Lock. There's a lot on that defense to give that quarterback a short field to work with, and Von Miller is the key guy of that defense. It sucks. Von Miller is a pioneer of the NFL, and the game needs him. So, respectfully, we really do wish Von Miller all the best. And Denver Bronco fan nation, Denver country, Bronco country, I'm with you. Tough loss. All right, moving on to our next injury. This is one of note. We want to keep a little bit of eye on as we head towards the games this Sunday. Amari Cooper. He was on the injury report quite often last year. He kind of fought through a lot of injuries that kind of gave him a little mixed reviews towards the end of the season. He did give it his all. He kind of gutted his way through some games, and he did his very best that he could, but he was on the injury report, and he's back on the injury report leading up to week 1 of the 2020 season. Though he had a full practice Wednesday, that is some good news. We're not sure what we're getting out of him in terms of like 100%. What we're reading is that it's a hamstring issue, and those can be really tricky with position players. And though he practiced in full Wednesday, that is a positive way of looking at things, but it's one to monitor. It is Wednesday, and hamstrings could flare up at any moment, especially for a position player like Amari Cooper, who's had a little bit of an injury history in the NFL. So, Cowboy Nation, thank God we drafted CeeDee Lamb, right? Speaking of hamstrings, one that really kind of came through the news wire really hard was Mike Evans of Tampa Bay. Last year, his season ended early with a hamstring injury. And he's kind of like really back in that saddle of some sort to start the season with, the same hamstring kind of like, injuring, or delaying, his debut with Tom Brady at the helm. The quotes that we got from Bruce Arians is, "We'll see how it goes." That's not really much. We don't never really want to trust what Bruce Arians says. Bruce Arians can lead you in so many directions we really don't know. But, Mike Evans did have his season cut short last season due to a hamstring. And it's one to keep an eye on. He's a game time decision, officially listed already. And listen, that's tough. We're all excited to see what the Buccaneers are going to be bringing us this season. And Mike Evans is a huge cog in that offense, especially for Tom. So it's one to monitor leading up to Sunday. Another injury that, another injury plagued player that definitely hit the questionable limited list was Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is kind of listed with a quad injury. Though he's already listed as questionable for tonight, we have to see what's going to happen if he's going to get his full range of snaps tonight in the opener. It's kind of tough with Thursday night. Usually Thursday night guys, when they're listed questionable, you don't know how they're gonna be unleashed. He will have a long week after. Today we're waiting on to see what is the word with Brandon Cooks, though. He has had a lot of concussions in the past, so this being a quad kind of gives you a little bit of at least it's not a concussion-based injury. We'll see how this goes. We're just waiting on word to see what's going on with Brandon Cooks. I believe he was limited on Wednesday during, their practice. So that is some positive to look into the situation with Cooks. I would probably label this as a 50-50 right now. Brandon Cooks, his frame isn't that very big. And, you always kind of have that thought process of, can he make it a full 16 games? I don't think I believe he's only done it once. I could be totally wrong out there, but I'm a big Brandon Cooks fan. I know he gives everything he possibly can out there. And let's wrap up with Khalil Mack, also limited. And David Montgomery, who went down with a groin a few weeks ago in training camp, is said to actually be on the road to recovery a lot quicker than what seemed to be perceived prior. Quote from Tariq Cohen, "It's like it never happened." So that's some positive right there. The Bears definitely need him. He will definitely improve off his rookie season. Though a groin injury to a guy who's pretty shifty, who's very likely to cut in and out of handoffs or catches. We don't know. A groin could just flare up also at any moment. It was a non-contact injury as well, so those always keep you at bay. You don't know what's going to happen. So, listen, we'll see. And just to round up on some of the injury notes, just to keep an eye on, I know Steelers are having some doubts of the availability of David DeCastro Sunday. And for Eagle fans out there, I'm hearing that we may be without rookie Jalen Reagor and Alshon Jeffrey to start the season. So keep your eyes on that. I know the Eagles have been through hell already with their offensive line and their injuries. But we move on to our second down, the quarterback hub. We're going to touch on quarterback issues around the league. And one of note, We finally got a starter down in Chicago. Mitchell Trubisky was named the starter over Nick Foles, and that was an open battle up until a few days ago. Bears general manager quoted as to say, "You just felt a different presence and a different mindset from quarterback Mitchell Trubisky." That's a lot coming from the general manager who drafted Mitchell Trubisky. And we all know Trubisky was drafted ahead of Mahomes, ahead of Watson. And yeah, they will never let Chicago fans down with that. Listen, that's not Trubisky's fault. It is what it is, unfortunately. And, you got some positive news from Trubisky himself. Quotes as, "I just found my confidence again." You always want to hear that with a quarterback, and hopefully that is exactly what he found. All the best to Mitch and the Bears out there. Listen, you went bold, you went and got your quarterback. You want your quarterback to be confident. And, bringing Nick Foles there might have been to bring his confidence back or to unleash something that nobody saw. Who knows? We've seen weirder things in the NFL. The first few weeks, Mitchell Trubisky could go crazy. I know no one really is expecting that, but hey. And, would you be surprised? We've seen weirder things happen. I believe a year or two ago, not too long ago, when Fitzpatrick was a Buccaneer, he was like an MVP favorite for the first 5 weeks of the season. So, listen, with that, we move on to Josh Rosen, Josh Rosen has had a tough career so far. It's a little humbling to go from the top 10 pick to now being on the practice squad of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It didn't work out for Josh Rosen in Miami. Definitely didn't work out in Arizona. This is his third team, and in 3 years, there's not much to say. I hope Josh Rosen can learn from Bruce Arians, can learn from Tom Brady as much as he possibly can, and find the roster in the future. There's always been doubts as to what Josh Rosen's mindset is with the NFL, if he's ever really truly committed. He comes from a very wealthy, successful family outside of football. And yeah, there's always been naysayers if his mind and his heart was truly committed to the game. And here we are, and he's on a practice squad. So it's not looking too good for Josh. And listen, I'm all for all the players out there. I'm wishing him the best. And, we'll see. Moving forward to a more positive story. First overall pick, Joe Burrow was named the captain. And that's huge coming from, your teammates voting you a captain. You haven't even taken it down yet in the NFL, and you're already a captain. God bless him. I believe this is the right move from the Bengals. You want to believe that this is the future. You want to give him the keys to the car, and this is a great way to start. So all the best to Joe Burrow, captain of your Cincinnati Bengals offense. All right, moving on to something that's a little interesting. We're going to touch back on Tampa Bay real quick as their newly added running back hit the news with some, very interesting quotes. Leonard Fournette quoted as, "I really have a quarterback for the first time in my life." Whew. Listen, is he wrong? All right, Leonard Fournette was released last week from the Jaguars, who was quickly scooped up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to add to a star-studded roster already. He's a part of a pretty crowded backfield. We're not sure what's going to happen or what's going to unfold with that backfield, but we all know that the quarterback position isn't crowded at all. That's Tom Brady's spot, and for the first time in his life, he has a quarterback, and make of that as you will. Blake Bortles wasn't cutting it, but he wasn't really saying that about Blake Bortles when they was going to the AFC championship game and they lost to Tom Brady. I'm just saying. So there's that, and there's a little bit of a dig at Gardner Minshew. Minshew mania was a little bit of a thing last season, and I don't know. Leonard Fournette is a little bit outspoken kind of guy. He's a little out there, so all the best. It's all in good fun, I can imagine. All right, on to our third down, some transactions, and we're gonna get into some huge ones. So bear with me, and we're gonna start with Deshaun Watson inking a massive extension. He signed a $156 million extension, $39 million a year, and has a total value signing at oh my God, I didn't even know it was this much. $174 million. Shit. God damn. He's going to receive $73 million in full guarantees. He's only 24. And he's the only, quarterback in NFL history to record consecutive seasons with at least 25 passing touchdowns and at least 5 rushing touchdowns. God bless Deshaun Watson. I don't know why it took so long, but, maybe they were waiting for the Patrick Mahomes deal to kind of go through. And, I totally understand how this works. You were waiting for the main guy to kind of get his and everything kind of rolls under. So, with that, we move on to another massive deal. Jalen Ramsey becoming the highest paid defensive back in NFL history. Jalen Ramsey just signed a contract that will net him $21 million annually. He is going to, oh my God, he's another one that just $71 million guaranteed at signing worth. The total worth of this contract is a 5-year deal, $105 million for a corner. Man, God bless him, man. And as you guys saw, if you're watching the Hard Knocks on HBO, he's out there house hunting. He's out there trying to make his home. And man, I didn't actually, I truly, I'm reading my notes here. I didn't know it was this big. Jesus Christ. It makes me think of what guys like Revis and Sherman in their heydays, in their prime, what they would have gotten today, like Deion Sanders and stuff like that. I know Darrelle Revis, if you look at his career earnings, they're almost as good as some quarterbacks that are playing today. He really knew how to work the market and get the most out of the Jets and other teams, but mostly the Jets. But that's a hell of a deal. God bless Jalen Ramsey. And I've been very critical of Jalen Ramsey in my personal circles, but I'll say it. I feel like, you're never going to get the elite Jalen Ramsey that you should get. I feel like on his day, he is untouchable. I truly feel like, on his day when he wants, he'll give you truly breathtaking performances, at the cornerback position. But, sometimes I just don't know why, the concentration kind of comes and goes. But, I have all the faith in him. He's a hell of a talent. And, listen, the Rams need him. The Rams invested a lot in him. They gave away a lot of picks. So, listen, it is what it is. Moving on to another team that invested a lot in a player in terms of, adding them to their team to, bolster their roster is DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is caking. He signed another massive deal. He signed a 2-year extension that added $54.5 million, a whopping $27.25 million new money average. That is unbelievable. Jesus Christ. So in total, it's a 5-year deal for $94 million with $18 million on average at signing. Jesus Christ. He actually negotiated this deal himself. Fucking hell. Hey, Arizona, you got yourself a number 1 wide receiver. That's what it costs. Listen, you star player, you pay star players. That's what you do in this league. You got to pay your star players, or else nobody's going to take you seriously. At the end of the day, it is what it is. It is what it is. If you don't sign your star players aren't going to go play for you, even if you go and trade for them. So you got to understand, hey, listen, you got a star player, you got to pay him, regardless of the situation elsewhere, Whew, man, these guys are making, for the NFL, it's truly unbelievable, man. All right, let's jump into another contract. There's another It was nothing but contracts this week. Jadeveon Clowney finally found a new home. And, I think this should have happened a while ago, but it finally happened. Jadeveon Clowney has signed with the Tennessee Titans for a $13 million deal with $2 million in incentives. So it can go up to $15 million. There's rumors out there that he was offered more money with the Saints. He was offered more money with the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know how that kind of worked out, but he finds a home with Tennessee with his old coordinator and Mike Vrabel, who was with the Texans at the time that Clowney was with the Texans. And listen, Clowney, he's not a sack guy. He's not going to get you sacks. I believe he had 3.5 last season. But he is a disruptor. That is what he got paid to do. Well, he gets paid to do. Is to disrupt shit. All right? He's really fucking annoying if you're an offensive team and you're game planning against him. You just got to find where the hell Jadeveon Clowney is, and you got to figure out how to get him out of the fucking way, because he's going to disrupt shit. But listen, he's not a sack guy. Make of that as you will. I'm sure he'll get more than 3 sacks this year in Tennessee. They have a really very underrated defense. So all the best to Jadeveon Clowney. I'm glad he found a home. I wish it was with Seattle still, but hey, things just happen to work themselves out a certain way. And listen, as long as he has a home out there. Moving on to Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt signed an extension with the Cleveland Browns. Nothing astronomical. It's just a 2-year deal worth $13.5 million. And $8.5 million guaranteed. The Browns, they put a lot of faith into Kareem Hunt. We all know what he's done in the past. I personally don't think it's the most craziest thing that's ever occurred in someone's life. It's a video of him kicking a woman. We understand that is frowned upon, especially in the climate we live in. We don't know what happened prior. I know that's not an excuse to ever touch a woman, but I mean, if you watch the video, it is what it is. It's wrong. Nobody's bleeding. Nobody's dying, but he paid the price. The man's career was put in limbo, and it sucked. I felt bad for him. He's been on a good, path ever since. And, you haven't heard his name much out there. And kudos to the Cleveland Browns for believing in this kid and giving him a chance to turn his career around. And listen, that's all you want. That's what you want in life. You make a mistake and you turn your life around. And listen, before Kareem Hunt made that mistake, he was out there like top 5 back. And, now, yeah, he's backing up Nick Chubb. But they found some faith in Kareem Hunt. If, I believe Nick Chubb's contract is coming up. We don't know. We all know how the situation is with running backs that want to get paid. And, it's really tough out there for running backs to cash in like these other positions. Like we mentioned, Jalen Ramsey's of the Deshaun Watsons and the Deandre Hopkins. Running backs aren't making nowhere near that. So I'm glad Kareem Hunt has a little bit of a home in Cleveland. All the best to him. And speaking of running backs and getting paid, we're expecting Alvin Kamara to get his contract any minute now. They play this Sunday against the Buccaneers, and we may be getting a new contract before that game even kicks off for Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is looking for a contract in the range of $14 million a year. That's a little bit lower than Christian McCaffrey at 16, but with Joe Mixon making 12, and he just signed his contract not too long ago, it's kind of in the middle, He is a little bit of a hybrid running back. He's more of receiving, scat back. He does block pretty well for his frame, but, he is somewhat of an engine for this Saints offense, especially with Michael Thomas. So, we saw how the team didn't really look well when he wasn't at his best, even though they were winning games. Eventually the NFL is a copycat league. They'll figure out ways to scheme around making sure that, Michael Thomas is like double, triple coverage, and that leaves a lot of space for Alvin Kamara. Just to keep a range of the contract we may expect from Alvin Kamara, it'll be a probably 5-year, $70 million deal, something like that. That'll make sure he's at $14 million per year annually. So expect that in the coming days. And real quick, we're going to touch on some guys who actually retired. Aqib Talib, all-pro cornerback. He's going to be missed. We all remember his time and with the Rams. He was really successful there. I believe he was drafted by the Bucs entering the NFL. 34 years old now, on IR last season. And it's probably its time. And moving on to a linebacker from the Steelers who we mentioned in the next show of the AFC North will be Ryan Shazier. We all know that was coming. It's official. He actually announced it himself today. All the best to him. All right, moving on to the final fourth down of this Fourth Down Weekly. We're going to touch on some important news and notes. We have, I don't know what you want to call it. We have a bit of a soft situation going on in the world right now. A lot of social injustice has been uprising, and rightfully so. I've been thinking really long and hard about touching on this topic, with my shows, because I want to keep this football, I want to keep this fun, I want to keep everyone engaged, but it's such a glaring situation in the world, and it's touching football, so it's affecting football, so I feel like it's my job to touch on it. And we're getting a lot of news that we're going to be getting a situation where both teams tonight will be kneeling, be showing a sign of unity, solidarity against social injustice, and God bless them all for doing such. We even got Jerry Jones out there openly, candidly saying, toes are on the line with this situation, and Sunday, all that's gonna change. We got Dontari Poe and Ezekiel Elliott coming out and saying, "Listen, like we're taking a stance, and we've been given the right to do so by Mr. Jones." And a lot of people were waiting for Jerry Jones to weigh in on this situation, and here we are. Jerry Jones, I believe he appeared recently on his radio show. He quoted as saying, "This is a huge issue, huge." By just the nature of the way I run the team, how much I appreciate the interest that's in the Dallas Cowboys. Now I know there's interest just because they want to see us get beat, but still the big interest is there. I'm very sensitive to that. That's exactly why I have said that I want our players to be very sensitive to just how important it is to the majority of our fans. More than any other team, the majority of our fans know how sensitive they are recognizing what this great country is and what the flag stands for. Everybody knows where I stand, and there's no equivocation there at all. I feel fortunate to be a part of the entity of the Dallas Cowboys and a sport that has so much interest. Consequently, I want everybody to understand that if any player that is standing out there that has a serious awareness of the kind of sensitivity that there is out there, that they'll ask for help with that in mind, in a way that you would ask for help. It's not good to be austerious or anything if you're asking people to see through your eyes and see it in only your way. It's important to show the kind of grace. I'm very confident that both sides, our players as well as our fans, can come together for grace. It's all about trying hard to move the ball forward to see where the other guy's coming from. Not necessarily to agree, but to see where he is coming from. I hope the Dallas Cowboys can be a part of that just because of the interest in what we are talking about. As you can see with those comments, Jerry Jones is very, very aware of the situation that's going on in the world. In the NBA took a hell of a stance. MLB, English Premier League, it's been a serious topic of discussion. And, we're tired of it, man. We're tired of it. And you know what? God bless Jerry Jones for actually saying these comments. They land so heavily, more than what you may imagine. This is Jerry Jones speaking out. So all the best to Jerry Jones. And you know what? Kudos to him. And we all saw what happened recently, just to touch up on a little, kind of weird situation. Madden has, since 2016, has not, had Colin Kaepernick in the game. And here we are with Colin Kaepernick back in the Madden game. Listen, I used to be a big Madden avid player. The game is just terrible. But he's back into the game, and his initial overall is better than about like 15 to 17 starting quarterbacks. Make of that as you will. I don't know what the take on that is. They got him doing, the fists, the stance, I don't know. I kind of thought it was a little cheesy. I'm kind of glad he's in it. A lot of kids play this game. They can understand what he stands for. But I don't know. It's kind of like too little, too late. I don't know. We'll see. I know Roger Goodell has openly said we messed up on the Colin Kaepernick situation. So little by little, they're showing that, hey, listen, we fucked up. We get it. Who knows? All right, moving on to the last and final note that I want to personally touch on today. I want to give the insight to you guys out there. There has been only one positive test from the COVID-19 testing from August 30th to September 5th. That is 1 out of 17,519 tests administered. And 2,641 of those tests were to players. I know guys have been put on the COVID-19 list for exposure to other people who've been diagnosed with the COVID-19 situation, but those numbers really mean a lot if we're going to get a full season here with no disruptions. Numbers look good. Numbers look real good. So fingers crossed we get a full season, no disruption. We're getting some fans into the stadiums as we move forward, and it's looking pretty promising. And, to everyone out there, hope everyone's doing good with their health. And we got football today, baby. I'm so hyped. I'm ready. I don't even care who wins. I just want to see a crazy duel. I just want to see a football in the air. Guys running at each other full speed. Thank God we're finally here. You already know what it is. This is the Fourth Down Show, guys. We will be back this weekend with our prediction show. I cannot wait for you guys to touch on that. You guys are going to probably hate me. I have a whole lot to discuss on that. And we'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Please like, subscribe, share. You already know what it is, man. The Fourth Down Show. It's where legends are made, baby, on Fourth Down.